The Indian Armed Forces are a closely knit family, an honorable and upright institution of warriors chiseled out after thousands of hours of training. They all stay close, call each other brothers, and work towards a common goal of safety and security of the nation called Bharat. However, few individuals, ever since retiring from the forces, have shown their real faces. They hid amongst their brethren, and all while harboring hate. However, the authority and fear of hierarchy never allowed them to speak their mind and express their hate. But now, they're coming out in the open, and after the death of CDS Bipin Rawat, the masks have fallen and the public has recognized the rot that festers in the community of veterans. Hi and welcome. You're watching TFI English, the national socio-political analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm Siddharth, your host. In this video, I will tell you how tweets by Bakshi, Panag and Acharya exposed the massive rot within the veterans' camp. Let's begin. Chief of Defence Staff General Bipin Rawat, along with his wife and 11 other armed forces personnel, including senior officials, died in a freak helicopter crash on Wednesday. The crash took place shortly after the Russian-made chopper took off from the Air Force Base in Sulur, Coimbatore for Wellington in the Nilgiri Hills. While a cheerful and jovial response from Khalistani, Islamists and cross-border fundamentalists celebrating the death of the CDS was expected, some armed forces members and their insensitivity also came out in the open. Veterans of their field took to social media platforms to showcase their mental ineptitude and jealousy for a decorated individual. One Colonel Baljit Bakshi took to Twitter and rejoiced the news of the accident of the CDS. In the now deleted tweet, Bakshi, without taking a name, targeted CDS and said, "Karma has its own way of dealing with people." Ajay Shukla, a retired colonel of the Indian Army who routinely writes defense columns regarding policy and production in Business Standard and has earlier worked with DD News and NDTV, showed his true fickle nature. Barely a few hours after the official announcement of Rawatji's death by the Indian Air Force came, and while the country was in mourning, Shukla took to Twitter to post 3 photos of a cake with the caption, "Yummy." Talk about bad timing. It is understandable that people have their own lives, but coming from a retired senior army officer who must be knowing that putting out such pictures at the time of national mourning is insensitive, Ajay showed a complete lack of empathy and maturity. Akin to Colonel Baljit Bakshi, another senior army official named Lieutenant Colonel Anil Duhoon, who despite donning the same uniform as CDS, took the opportunity to settle scores. He seemingly targeted the CDS without taking his name by tweeting, "Karma always hits back." Another retired official named Anuma Acharya took to Twitter to regurgitate her hatred for the departed CDS. She tweeted, "Roll khatam, khel khatam, Jai Hind." A rough look at Anuma's timeline is enough to suggest that her hatred for Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his government has transcended to such an extent that she can barely differentiate between what is good or bad for the country from her ideology's twisted agendas. While the whole nation was praying for the well-being of late Shri Bipin Rawatji, Lieutenant General H.S. Panag went into irresponsible haste to become a news bulletin on his own. The first report in the media about the accident emerged around 12:20 p.m. Though reports of various people dying in the crash were circulating, it was still not certain whether Shri Bipin Rawat had survived or not. No official bulletin had confirmed it even till late in the evening. However, H.S. Panag, a retired Lieutenant General, seemed to be in more hurry than any of India's TRP-hungry news Indian portals. At 2:52 p.m., he made an irresponsible tweet claiming that General Rawat had died in the luckless crash. Up until no news portal had reported his death. Moreover, official handles of the Indian Defence Ministry and any of the 3 major armed forces had not passed a single statement regarding the health of Shri Rawatji. All 3 Indian armed forces are closely knit units. The soldiers consider each other brothers. The juniors bestow extreme respect towards their seniors. Hierarchy is closely followed. However, like any professional institution, the forces are not impervious to corruption and clash of egos. The rotten apples exist, and one has to make do in the same. However, even if someone had personal agendas against the CDS or did not agree with his ideology, celebrating and mocking the belief of the mourners is something that shows that the person is corrupted to the very core. The army can teach you certain skills, but humanity is what one is born with. Keeping the light of humanity ignited throughout is the choice of a person. By sneering at the death of a person who made millions weep, such individuals have perhaps extinguished that light amongst themselves. In their arrogance and inflated egos, They think that they have risen above the sense of brotherhood in the forces. They become elitist and full of themselves. By passing insensitive remarks, these retired veterans insult the very rank and uniform that made them, and is very, very unfortunate. Condemning such individuals that serve the forces in whatever little capacity does not bring any happiness to anyone, but it's time that such black-hearted people are called out.